Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Random Rants with Random, with your host today, once again, Captain Lamo. I wanted to do a live out in the bush here today, guys, but I don't get phone reception, so I couldn't do a live. So I'm going to do some videos and tell you what's going on. So I'm back in the exact spot where it all went down on my last ride, or I should rather say all came up, because it was quite a hot day. And I'll switch your phone, guys. And up in the hills there, we come right from the top of that hill was a very technical downhill. Was the most technical downhill me and Mr. Ray Zhu have done in a long time. So we actually stopped halfway down for a bit of a break. So when we got down to here, I'll stand up now. So when I was recovering from my upchuck, I found a beautiful comfy rock right there under a few trees, and just had to sit here for probably nearly an hour, guys, until I recovered from heat stroke and was actually able to keep water down. I had to have little sips, and the first few little sips I couldn't keep down, so it wasn't a good situation. And also on the same weekend, a 62-year-old guy. So this is the track of the hill we came down. So I wasn't feeling the best already, so by here I was already feeling a bit heat stressed. And yeah, well, I was saying, a 62-year-old guy was out riding, don't know whether it's push bikes or motorbikes, with a group. And he said he was feeling a bit hot and tired. So he had a bit of a lie down beside his bike in the shade. When they come back to get him, he'd passed away in his sleep, the poor bugger. But it's the one time I will say that at least he did something he loved, because he passed peacefully, lying beside his bike in the middle of a ride. Normally when people say after an accident and someone dies, oh, at least they died doing something they love. And I always say, well, I wouldn't really love lying on the side of the track in agony for hours or days, slowly dying. That's not something I love. But so here we go. Yeah, so I'm just trying to stress that the Australian bush up here in the heat is no joke. So we come down here, and me and Katie blip through. The camera never shows it, but me and Katie blip through to the right of the route you see up there. And Mr. Ray Zhu come down a bit on the left. And so me and Katie come up the right, and I've worked it out since. Mr. Ray Zhu clipped this rock here on the left with his back tyre. So that pulled him up, and then it pulled his front tyre around into the left side of this route where it's a lot steeper, and it locked him up and just rolled him over backwards. If you watch the video called No Guts, it's in there, and I also did a short called Ray Zhu Down. So yeah, by the time I ran back and made sure he was okay and helped him get his bike out, the heat stress got me, and that was me for the day. So from here it was just a steady ride home. Tried to conserve energy and have a bit of fun here and there for the camera, but when I got back to my ute, I was completely foobar. But Katie was doing well. So that's enough about that. What I'm here today is, as you can't really see, it is very overcast here today. So Katie and I are using our weather guide skills to the max, because up in North Queensland at the moment, up until arriving here today to do this, it has been absolutely bucketing down. And I nearly didn't come because I thought, no, there's no way me and Katie's weather guide skills are going to work today. But she convinced me, and we're out here and it's just a little bit drizzly, which makes it absolutely perfect. It's hardly even enough to wet my shirt. That's more from sweat. And it just makes it so cool and comfortable here at the moment. So here's the plan. When I was sitting here recovering the other day, I had a bit of a look around. So you can come down from the hill up there through the creek, and because I was FUBA, I really didn't have too much of a look around, but I noticed as I was riding out, there's a few little lines to the side. Got like a lump of dirt there. And another tricky creek crossing. So what I was going to say, guys, is I'm not really out here for a big ride today, because this one doesn't really show it because we're on top of a hill. But a lot of the creeks are really swollen at the moment, and I don't want to risk flooding my bike riding by myself. Oh, there's a drop on the camera. I'll see if I can clean that off. Starting to rain a bit heavier, so that's bringing me back to why I'm here. So it's not really going to be dry enough to go for a proper ride, but I thought I'm all the way here, so I'm going to come for a look at that spot where I nearly died and have a bit of a look around and see if I can make, so you can see here, quite a tricky step up, but not too bad to the right. So my plan is, I'm going to see if I can make a little enduro loop and find the old log here and there and make little side chutes to do log rollovers and technical stuff like that, and make a little enduro loop that's only about maybe 2 to 3 minutes long at the most, and then come out, mark it out, and when I've got it how I like it, nice and flowy, bit of tech here and there, but nothing too technical. Yeah, I'll mark it out and I'll work out the lap and I'll start doing laps of it, and then I can time laps of it and see if I get any better. So over time I can come out, do a few laps and see if my times are improving. So I'm not going to walk too far up here. No point walking where there's a motorbike sitting over there somewhere. There she is, way down there, if you can see her. So I'm walking up this hill here, and I'm 100% positive that it will join up way up on the hill up there, on the gnarly downhill we come down. Just before it come down this side of the hill, there was an intersection that went down that side of the hill. And I'm 100% sure that this track I'm on here will join up to that. So a bit later, I'll jump on Katie and I'll have a bit of an explore. But I'm taking it very, very steady today, guys, because I'm not expecting to be able to do much riding. I've got my pants on, but I've got no knee guards except for the ones in the pants. And I've only got some new Colorado waterproof hiking boots. So I haven't tried these out yet, so I figured today would be a perfect day, and as you can see, they're wet, so I'll test out their waterproofness. So the highway is just over there. That's my only drama. It might be too close to the highway, might get too much attention, but I figure if I can knock out a nice little single track enduro loop and do some different timed runs on it, then it'll be interesting. And then also we can try mates on their bikes, and then anyone that's in the area, I can throw out the challenge. But look at this little log, guys. Pre-made little log with all the sand built up on one side. Sweet little drop off, or very technical little step up because it's off camber across the track at 45 degrees, which makes it very tricky. And in these situations, you sort of got to try and square it up, but when the track's there, it's a bit hard. And another hint is, if you can use bits of the tree here, I don't know if you can see it, there's a branch there with a bit of scarring around it. There's a branch coming up. If you can use that as a back wheel stop, you jump up the front of it, and then the back wheel will slide and it will stop on that branch, and then you'll go straight up. So if there's any big knots or branches or anything like something unusual on a log, like a little bump where a branch was, or a knot or anything, try and put your front wheel just beside it, and then your back wheel will slide onto that and line you up the tree. So there's a bit of a tip for you. So I'm coming down already a different track that I went up. So that's what I mean, if I can work out a sweet little loop here, and already coming into some gnarly step downs. So just looking at that now, the sook in me says if I'm going that way, go to the left, and if I'm coming down, make the most of those little steps that will be really hard to climb up, and do little drops off them coming down. So I don't want it to be too technical, and I also want it to be fun. So just wiping the lens again, she's raining a bit. So that's my plan. So send me a comment, guys. What do you think? Does it sound like a good idea? And anyone in FNQ, send me a link. Like even here, if you tell the guys we're going technical, you got a line to this side, and if you're going easy, there's a smooth line on this side. Trying to keep the lens dry, guys. So I'll get down here, and as you can see, it's some nasty step ups, but when you come down, they can be fun, except when there's bad ruts like that. You got to always look out for the ruts. And the other thing I was thinking is riding through creeks is very trendy right now. I must say that you need to be very careful riding in creeks, probably in most countries, but especially Australia. A little bit of rain, and next minute, if it gets in the right catchment area, you can be sitting in something like this with a trickle of water, thinking, oh yeah, this is my sweet little hard enduro line, and then next minute you'll be facing a metre or more of mud and rocks and trees barreling down the creek towards you, and hopefully you can get out of the creek quickly. One of my friends swimming once down at Babinda Boulders, he had that. He was on the opposite side of the creek, and then he heard a bit of a rumble. There wasn't even a cloud in the sky. He heard a bit of a rumble, and then over the falls came a metre-high mudslide of rocks and trees, and you can't swim in that. So he got out and he had to get rescued because he was on the wrong side of the creek. But he was on the side of the creek and he was able to get out, him and another guy. So, all good fun riding up the creek. No way am I trying creek riding today, guys. I haven't got any of my protective gear on except for gloves and helmet and pants. And I know that's all some people ride in, but not me. I remember how long it takes to heal. So I'll walk up the creek and see if you reckon it's doable. But also while I'm here, I'll show you this. This is a grass tree. And they grow this spear thing in the middle of them. And this one at the moment is dead. Well, it's not dead, it's at the end of its stage of growing and dropping its seeds. And then they just break off. So when they're green, they're quite strong, but they still break off easy. But since this one's green, I can't really show you, but see those little seed pods? When it's green, this whole stalk head is covered. See that, how sharp it is? And how big it is? That dried seed pod there? This whole stalk at the top here is covered in those. And if you look at these ones, because it's at the end of its cycle, they fall out. But when it's green, they don't fall out. And I always thought, if you're on the way to a bit of a tribal war, I'd grab a dozen of these on my way, and they might only last a couple of hits on the opponent, but I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be that opponent. Some of these stalks get up to 3 foot long and 3 inches in diameter of just spiky seed pods. So I wouldn't like to get hit by them. And when they're green, they're a bit more like dexterous or malleable, should I say, and they bend without breaking. But now that it's blackened and it's end of its cycle, they break. And so another thing I used to do when I was a kid, I'd break the top off. I don't know if you'll pick it up. I used to walk around the bush, because it's tricky in the bush because there's little branches and trees everywhere. You can't really pick it up. I used to practice my bow staff. And it's tricky as you're walking through the bush because there's trees and stuff. Oh, see, I dropped it. Trying to show off. And then, as a finish, when you see a tree, you see the opponent, you're swinging around, and then you just whoop-a-cha, and just break it off.